Hello, my name is Richard. You're watching Over and Over and Over Again, and this is the Aston Villa Women versus Arsenal Women match preview. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to look ahead to this weekend's big game in the WSL. Arsenal Women visiting Aston Villa, looking to maintain their great start to the season, looking, of course, to continue on from the victory against Everton last week. We're going to look at the history of the Aston Villa Women. We're going to look at their ground. We're going to profile their coach. We're going to look at their current form, previous meetings. We're going to look at the player to watch, players that have played for both clubs. We're going to predict the lineups and also give a score prediction. If that sounds like something you might enjoy, please give this video a like. Please consider subscribing to the channel as well. We do cover the Arsenal Women and, of course, the Arsenal Men. Lots of other great shows as well. A lot to get through today then, so let's get started. This is the Aston Villa Women versus Arsenal Women match preview. So, Aston Villa Women were originally formed in 1973 as Solihull FC. They did become part of the Aston Villa Men's Club in 1989 and they changed their name to Villa Aztecs. They did play in the Premier League Cup final in 1995, but they did lose to Wimbledon. And they did also play in the Premier League in the 1995-1996 season, but unfortunately they did get relegated. They changed their name again in 1996 to Aston Villa Ladies, and they did play in the Northern Division except for 2 seasons, which was 1999 to 2000 and 2003 to 2004, when they did get promoted to the Premier National League, but they were relegated on both occasions. They were promoted to the Northern Division in 2011, and then in 2013 they won their first ever trophy, which was the Premier League Cup. They beat Leeds in the final on penalties. In 2014 they were elected to WSL 2, and then in 2018 they were elected to the Women's Championship. They renamed themselves again in 2019 to become Aston Villa Women, and in the 2019-2020 season they won promotion to the WSL for the first time, which is where they remain. That is the brief history then of Aston Villa Women. Now, Aston Villa Women then do play at Walsall's Bescot Stadium, which opened in 1990. It does hold 11,300. However, they do play a lot of their matches at Villa Park, of course, the main men's stadium, which is where this game at the weekend will be taking place. Villa Park did open in 1897. It's been Aston Villa's home ever since, and it does hold 42,682. So Aston Villa women's coach then is Carla Ward. She was born on the 21st of December 1983 on the Isle of Wight. She took over at Aston Villa in May 2021. That was after 1 season with Birmingham, where she had kept them in the WSL. Prior to that, she had led Sheffield United to a 5th place and a 2nd place finish in the Championship. And she was player assistant manager at Sheffield United from 2017. So that is the brief management history there of Aston Villa women's coach Carla Ward. Now, this will only be the 5th meeting between the two sides in the league. Of the previous 4, Arsenal have won 3, including both the 2 previous times we have gone away to Aston Villa. Both of those games did finish in 4-0 victories. We also did beat Aston Villa 7-0 at Meadow Park in the previous meeting at the end of last season. In fact, in the previous 4 meetings in the league, Aston Villa have yet to score a goal against Arsenal. So that is the previous meetings between Arsenal Women and Aston Villa. So Villa currently sit 5th in the WSL. They've won 4 and lost 4 of their 8 league matches this season. They did beat Reading 3-1 in their last home match at Villa Park a few weeks ago, but they did lose 5-0 at Manchester United in their last WSL game last weekend. They are on the brink of making progress through the group stage of the Continental Cup. They did beat Durham 1-0 in their last match after a victory on penalties against Manchester United and a defeat on penalties against Everton. So that is the current form then of Aston Villa Women. Now, there has been a couple of players who have played for both these famous clubs. The first one is, of course, Anita Asante. She did begin her career with Arsenal in 2003, having come through the youth system. She was part of the quadruple winning squad in 2007. She did leave to join Chelsea in 2008. And she played for Villa at the very end of her career. She joined them in 2020. And of course, the very last match of her professional career came back in May at Meadow Park in that 7-0 defeat against Arsenal. Another player in the current Arsenal side who did play for Aston Villa is, of course, Mana Iwabochi. She did play in her native Japan and also in Germany before joining Aston Villa in 2020, where she scored twice in 13 appearances for them. She signed for Arsenal in the summer of 2021 and she scored twice in 9 WSL appearances for Arsenal, including, of course, in this fixture last season at Villa Park. And finally, there is also Anna Patton, who came through Arsenal's youth system. She did go over to America to play college football and she returned to Arsenal in 2020. She joined Aston Villa on loan in January 2022 until the end of the season, and that has now been extended for this current season as well, which means that she will not be able to play against Arsenal this weekend. So the player to watch then for Aston Villa this weekend will be Rachel Daly, of course, a Lionesses heroine from the summer. Daly was born on the 6th of December 1991 in Harrogate, North Yorkshire. She began a college career in the US with St John's Red Storm. That was in 2012, having come through the youth system at her local club Leeds. She also played for Lincoln Ladies as well before going to America again. She did join Houston Dash in 2016. She came back to England in 2020 to play on loan at West Ham before joining Aston Villa permanently in the summer of 2022. She's got 10 goals in 10 games for Aston Villa this season. Of course, she has won 63 caps for the England Lionesses, scoring 11 goals. And she did play every game in the successful Euro 2022 campaign over the summer. So the one to watch this weekend for Aston Villa will be Rachel Daly. Aston Villa have had a fairly settled side throughout most of this season. In goal, come back recently, of course, Hannah Hampton, the Lionesses goalkeeper. She should be available to play. In their last game against Manchester United, their back four was Anna Patton, Maz Pachetta, Sarah Mayling and Danielle Turner. Of course, Anna Patton can't play, as we said, due to the fact she is on loan from Arsenal. So maybe Megan Sargent may well come in at right back there. The three in midfield against Manchester United was Laura Blindkilder, Rachel Corsie and Kenza Darley. I wouldn't expect too many changes there. And then the front three in their last game, Alicia Lehman, Rachel Daly and Freya Gregory. They've also got, of course, Remy Allen, who's a decent player on the bench. Chantel Boy Lorca. Natasha Harding is another option from the bench. Kirsty Hansen as well. Simone McGill, of course, the Irish international, is currently injured. She would be a good player as well. Isabel Goodwin's been coming off the bench for them in recent games as well. And, of course, Rochelle Littlejohn, who Katie McCabe knows very well, of course. She is also in the Aston Villa squad, along with Olivia McLaughlin as well, who is a defender who may well feature in this game. But I don't think there's going to be too many changes from that lineup for Aston Villa. In terms of Arsenal, then, of course, we'll have to see how everybody is following the Juventus game in the Champions League. But I'd expect Arsenal to line up something like this. Manuel Zinsberger will be in goal, of course. I think the back four will be Laura Wainwrighter at right back. Leah Williamson's back, of course. I expect her to start in this game. Possibly Rafaela Souza as well. She has been on the bench, so I'm sure she might well be ready to start this game. Left back, also, it'll be Steph Catley. In midfield, you would imagine it will be Leah Volti and possibly Jordan Nobbs in this game. I think Frida Marnham may well start in the number 10 position. I think Viv Miedemeier will also start just slightly ahead. And then I think up front, it'll be Caitlin Ford and Stina Black-Stenius. That'll be the team I would imagine for Arsenal will start this game. Of course, we do still have some injury issues. Of course, Kim Little's still out. Beth Mead's going to be out, of course, as we know. But it's great news, isn't it, to have Leah Williamson back in the side and potentially Rafaela Souza as well. So that'll be the lineups I'll be expecting for this game at the weekend. So, a score prediction. Obviously, Arsenal will start as massive favourites to win this game. We have won 4-0 in our two previous visits to Aston Villa in the WSL. I wouldn't be surprised if it was something similar again this time. We did miss a lot of chances, of course, against Everton last weekend. We need to put that right. And if we have our shooting boots on, I'm sure we'll win this game fairly comfortably. Aston Villa are a decent side these days. They've got a goal threat now, of course, in Rachel Daly, as we said, 10 in 10 for her this season. But I do think Arsenal will be too strong. I think Arsenal will come out on top of this game. I think the final score will be Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 3. So that is the preview there of Arsenal Women's visit to Aston Villa this weekend. It's going to be a big game. We will be covering it here on the channel. The kickoff is 4:15 on Sunday, so we'll go live at 4 o'clock with your build-up, a bit of team news, of course, and also go into full match commentary and your viewer comments as well. So please join us for that. Coming up before that, of course, is England in the World Cup, the big quarter-final against France. That's on Saturday evening at 7 o'clock. So we'll be live with that one at 6:45. So please join us for that as well, as we look to see if England can get to another World Cup semi-final. That would be great, wouldn't it? But this game, as I say, is on Sunday afternoon. So please join us for full coverage of that. And then next week, we've got a lot more great shows lined up for you. So if it does sound like something you might enjoy, please give this video a like. Please consider subscribing to the channel. My name is Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again. This has been the Aston Villa Women versus Arsenal Women match preview. And we will see you on the next one.